sort of looked through, or was this like a one-off chance that he maybe left it and it was where you could have access to it?
I went snooping around online because I thought he was having an affair, which he was. And so I whacked a username into Google that he often uses, and I found it on a really a pornography website that walks a fine line with what's legal. He had a profile on there, and I was able to get into that, and that's where I found what I found.
Gotcha.
So I was just looking for the chick he was having it off with, basically.
Right.
And
yeah.
What did you stumble into? My goodness.
Yeah. So so let's go to where. So the police have his electronics, and you said that it takes them a while to, do their investigation. How long was it before he was contacted by the police on this, and either arrested or interviewed? How did that play out?
Okay, so because he ended up in a psychiatric ward, he was in there for, I think it was 2.5, 3 months. And so the police basically were waiting at the door when he was discharged. So it was a few months after and I'm pretty sure he got legal advice while he was in the hospital. Well, yeah, he did, because he made a no comment interview when they did charge him. I'm not exactly sure what it's called now. I forget. He was able to delay any court proceedings whilst he was recovering from his mental illness. So he was technically incapacitated to stand up and plead. And so they gave him like a year to get better.
And so
Wow.
so it ends up that the police do a full sort of evaluation, and they look through everything that's on his hard drive and in all of his digital footprints. And they find 30,000 plus images, hundreds of videos, and he has for himself that wasn't uploaded. Is that correct?
Sorry, say that last bit again.
He had all of these images that he hadn't uploaded. They were just on his drive
No, so he's only ever downloaded. If he had have uploaded, he would have been charged with a different offence, which is a more serious one.
Okay. But he had downloaded 32,000 images.
Yeah, so I don't think 32,000 is technically child abuse material. It probably would have been, knowing what I know now, all different types of pornography. So the police facts state there was 32,000 images and hundreds of videos, and then they sample that because you can't have the computer forensic people looking at it all. And so they sample that and then categorize it into levels of severity. So the majority of his images and videos were in the worst 2 categories. I won't go into detail of what that actually means because it might be too much for people. But if you Google CETS scale, if you want more information on that, you will know what I'm talking about.
Yep, they were level 4 and level 5.
And it's rough, everyone. Yeah. So just make sure you know that before you Google those levels, it's a tough thing to read. Very tough thing.
So don't do it just to traumatize yourself. Do it if it's important to you for some reason. I don't want to encourage people to go off traumatizing themselves more, but if you want to know, you can.
Absolutely.
So I think someone in my chat wanted to just make the point of saying that, with individuals that are godless recovery, actually wanted to just give you a little pat on the back and just say that these individuals spend their lives perfecting their mask. They're monsters, but they're charming and dubious at the same time.
Yeah.
So so the day that you are obviously everything comes crashing down, and your entire life, everything that you've built with this man, and you were with him for almost 6 years. You owned a home together. You had 3 dogs. You guys had, in all intents and purposes, sort of a de facto, or in the United States, common law marriage. So you were very invested in this relationship. So not only that day you find these and that world comes crashing down, but then there's this reality of, who the heck is this person? What did that feel like?
A lot of how I feel about him is quite numb. It's gone. A lot of it, but if a thought that often comes up about it, which I don't dwell on this stuff much anymore, but when I did, it was mostly at disgust isn't a strong enough word, but disgust that you'd slept next to someone you didn't know for that long, and that they were carrying something so vile, and it turns your whole perception of the relationship on its head. And so I guess that's the most I can put into words, because basically how I feel about him is quite locked away. I feel nothing. That's to be expected, because that's how you deal with it. That's just what happens if you can't cope. I guess it's just a way of coping. The brain just locks it off.
Sure. So more than likely, just it's so traumatizing that your body is protecting yourself from this, and I would imagine that it felt like a complete violation on so many different levels.
Yeah. I haven't spoken publicly about this before, but I feel okay about it now to talk about how it feels like a sexual violation. I don't want to say that to diminish other victims of sexual assault or other types of violation. I don't want to put myself on that same level, but of course you would not consent to any kind of sexual relationship if you had known what was in the mind of that person.
Sure.
If it was like that.
You're very valid in feeling that way.
Absolutely.
So, and it's something a lot of women I've spoken to who have gone through this, we all feel the same way. We all deal with that issue. I did a lot of crying, of course, in the early days, but one night I remember specifically was thinking that my sexuality was actually gone forever. I cried. I thought, I am never, ever going to be a sexual being ever again. That was my belief at that point, and it was horrific to feel that way.
Absolutely.
Well, right. You've been with someone who's lied and has taken intimacy between the two of you, and that's so violating to know that he lied to you to his core, and you bought that. But he's so convincing and he's so charming, and he spun this elaborate lie. And I can see why that would be extremely hard.
Let's what happened when once the police found out everything that he had on there. Take us through the legal aspect of it. What happened to him legally?
So when he was discharged from the psych ward, he was charged, and then his lawyers got him applied for that time to recover. And whilst he was incapacitated, he was also his parents took over his financial and health matters, and that's a big part of the story too, because his parents wanted to squash me. They were out to get me, and so when it came to the family law situation, they were running the show, and they were absolutely relentless. And this is part of the reason why I couldn't start healing, because it felt like absolute torture, that they were just carrying on like children, in the way that lots of family law matters go. But I just could not deal with it. But as for the criminal part, so yeah, he got that time to recover so he could enter a plea, and then he applied for not guilty for mental health reasons. I don't know what was in that application. I don't have access to all the court proceedings. I wasn't there. That's where the police screwed up a little bit. They didn't let me know what was going on before it was happening, so I did miss out on some of the things that happened. But so the judge rejected his, not guilty by insanity crap. Of course, it's quite rare that judges allow that anyway. And so then he promptly pled guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Australia, when he was charged, the sentencing was very soft. It's gotten a bit stricter now, more harsh, but he had no prior convictions for anything, so his sentencing was a joke, really. He got 12 months good behaviour bond and was ordered to continue seeing his psychiatrist for another year. So that's it. Oh, and he's gone on the sex offenders register, but only for 8 years. I have no idea how they come up with 8 years. Like why not 10? Why not 15? Why not forever? I don't know. That's one thing that's a problem here is the sentencing. So.
He didn't even spend any time in prison, is what you're saying, right?
No. The consequences for him were less severe than for me, I think. Although I haven't had no contact with him, so I don't know what's happened in his life.
Let me tell you, Leah, I spent a year in prison for cocaine, an entire year.
Mm.
And he didn't.
The sentencing between Australia and US is very, very different. We're pretty soft, even on rapists and murderers. So, I mean, what to do with them is a completely different conversation, and it may not be jail. And it took me a long time to come to that conclusion, because what do we do with them? I'd like to put them all on an island so they can just, be thrown some food and can't harm anyone. I mean, I think one solution is that they all be locked up forever. That keeps everyone safe. But if you put one in jail for 5 or 10 years, they reoffend. So it's not serving any purpose to put them in jail like that. So what are the other options? Can they be treated? Professionals, it's rare for professionals to want to treat them. Like, why would you want to deal with that? And there are some around. I don't know a lot about that because I haven't looked into it, but I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I know the answer has to be whatever keeps kids most safe.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Leah. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think there is different types of offenders, and so there may be hope for some of them to be rehabilitated through therapy and whatnot. That's probably a controversial statement. I know people get very, very emotional and reactive about this, and it's not uncommon to see people wanting to string them up. That's also